Okay.
Okay, 7:01, I'll call the meeting to order. As a result of the order in council recently issued by the province of Ontario and the Municipality of McDougall declaring an emergency for the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the requirements for social distancing, this committee council meeting will be held electronically in accordance with Section 238 of the Municipal Act 2001. I would ask that the clerk now take a roll call to determine quorum and advise who is participating in the meeting today. Mrs. West.
Mayor Robinson.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Constable.
Present.
Councillor Gregory.
Present.
Councillor Malat.
Present.
Councillor Ryman.
Present.
It is determined that we do have quorum to proceed with the meeting. We will now take attendance of staff to advise who is joining us today. Tim Hunt, CAO.
Present.
Chief Leduc.
Present.
Aaron Robinson, Treasurer.
Present.
Nick Thompson, Public Works Manager.
Present.
Steve Goman, Environmental Services Supervisor.
Present.
And myself, Lori West, Clerk.
Thank you. A reminder to council that movers and seconders for all motions have been assigned. If when the motion is read, you would prefer not to move or second a particular motion, please advise me at that point. I now call the meeting to order. Any declarations of interest? Seeing none. Prioritization of the agenda, addition of item 17.1, committee reports, Township of McKellar, Parry Sound District Emergency Management Service, Land Ambulance Committee. Any other changes to the agenda? None from council? No. Adoption of minutes. Moved by Councillor Constable, second by Councillor Gregory, that the minutes of the committee council meeting held on May the 20th, 2020 be adopted as circulated. Discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? It's carried. Spot for signing down below on these. Just a test. Deputations, none scheduled. Any matters arising? No. Planning and building, no report. Matters arising? No. By law enforcement, no report. Matters arising? No. Fire protection, item 8.1, report of the fire chief, monthly summary fire services 2020. Mr. Leduc.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick update. This is to the end of April, and the stats are falling in line with our normal stats from years past with regard to dispatch time, response times, size of our response crews. Under the number 3 education section, line 1, which is our general training. So just to be advised that our numbers of training that are showing there, these were all e-learning so that the firefighters were remaining separated. So this was online learning, self-motivated by tasks that were presented by the training officer during the month of April.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that report? No, okay. Item 8.2, report of the fire chief, operations update. Mr. Leduc.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, just to advise that our training right now is or has been self-controlled online. Tasks that were issued by the training officer from month of April. Now that we're into June, we're beginning, this is week 1 of our actual back to the fire station hands-on training. What we've done to maintain separation is we're training on multiple nights. Each fire station is only going to have 1 officer and 4 firefighters as the training crew. And so we're training on Monday nights, Tuesday nights, and on Saturday mornings. The Saturday morning is the weekend duty crew. They go in and they do their training and fleet maintenance and fleet checks on that day. So right now we're offering 5 training sessions of 5 members per training session as a test for the month of June to see how that goes.
Thank you. Any questions, council? Okay. Matters arising under fire protection?
Your worship, just a quick brief synopsis from the structure fire that was in the village of Nobel on Monday evening. So just so that council is aware, the building was vacant at the time of the fire. No firefighters were injured during that response. We did have a pump crew come in from Perry Sound to assist us, and the fire was under control fairly quickly. The building itself being of the age that it's at, the interior was gutted, and but again, because we were on the hydrant system, quick response, quick knockdown, and no problems with our water supply. Everything went well.
Okay, thank you. And was our fire department involved with that major fire on the main street in Perry Sound?
Yes, your worship, we had 3 crews in at the James Street Seguin Beatty building fire. And so we had sent 14 members in to assist Perry Sound at that fire. And they got to do some fairly, what we on the fire service would call interesting tasks. So they were doing ventilation, chasing the seat of the fire, fire extension, overhaul. So there was lots of activity. Some of the fire crew that had some experience in the aerial platform that Perry Sound has. Some of our crew members were up in the aerial platform on the roof of the BD building. So it all went well.
That's good. Just it seems like our area has had more than our share of fires in the last couple of weeks, which is kind of unusual at this time of year. Usually it's during the heating season, but anyway, it's good that we're able to help our neighbors out in those situations. Hopefully our firefighters don't get too much to like that platform truck though. I'm just putting that out there. Thank you. Emergency management. Item 9.1, COVID-19 emergency response, declaration of emergency. I think this is a standing item just in terms of us to review it as council and staff in terms of what's an appropriate time to lift this. Any comments at this point from council or staff? Or I think we were kind of the mind before of waiting until the province lifted theirs before we did ours on it. Everything from my perspective seems to be working extremely well under that state. So I don't certainly have any issues with it, but I don't see anyone from council or staff raising any flags on it. So we'll just leave it there as a standing issue. Matters arising under emergency management. Recreation, report of the Director of Parks and Recreation, Mr. Leduc.
Again, thank you, Your Worship. So just before I start the last paragraph, when I had written this report for the agenda, it was before the province made the announcement that beaches could be opened. So the last paragraph talks about that our beaches and swimming remain closed. However, that has changed. They did open last Friday, and by the end of tomorrow, we'll have all of our swim rafts in place. So there's the opportunity for people to be able to take part now in some swimming activities and use of the beaches. That being said, our summer student has already started. He's been with us a couple of weeks now, and he's completed some of his initial training, has completed a bunch of his on-job training, is working out well with our staff. So what we're doing as a matter of every morning duty, so our public washrooms at the McDougall Recreation Center and the Nobel Beach, which are our amenity washrooms, or our fully serviced washrooms, they're being cleaned and disinfected every morning as part of our COVID-19 protocol. And just so that people are aware, persons can now use the picnic tables, the benches in our parks. Playgrounds, however, still remain closed to use. Our park staff has also built 8 new picnic tables in some of our downtime this spring while we were waiting for the pandemic to allow some activities to ramp up. So they've been now distributed out into the parks. Our pickleball groups have resumed play at the McDougall Recreation Center. We have advised the members to keep court groups to less than 5 and space out games with empty courts between their active courts. And they seem to be getting along well. And that's all that we have to report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, council, on that report? All right. Any matters arising under recreation? No. Item 11, Public Works. For the Public Works Manager, Mr. Thompson. You're still muted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good evening. Yes, Public Works has been very busy with ongoing operations. As far as the COVID-19, we've been following all policies and procedures as requested. Also, we've been working on Big Sound, and everything is coming along really good with that project. The parking lot is now complete. We have moved out of there, and we should be start to prep that area tomorrow. Also, with other maintenance and grading, calcium and stuff like that is going well. We also have the line painting coming along shortly. It's a little bit late this year, but they will be coming along. With the landfill, operations have been going good at the landfill with the RAB. Also, the scrap is being removed from the landfill. And the last thing I have here is the municipality has received payment for the power tile damage. And I did schedule today for the main areas to be repaired with Fowler Construction.
Okay. Maybe just remind council where that damage was by power tile.
The main damage was Long Lake Estates. We had some pretty severe damage on the new asphalt there, along with McDougall Road on the new asphalt. So we will be starting in Long Lake. And then as for the McDougall Road Beveridge Hill area, there's going to be there's a few areas there, but they will be put on the back burner for the previous time due to the fact that there's a lot more work to do. So instead of doing like a band-aid job, we will prepare to do the full job and repair the whole hill.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Thompson? I had an inquiry from one of my neighbors on Murray Point. I think last year we did a cut down past the railway tracks, which just sort of left as gravel, wasn't repaved or filled in. I didn't know what the plan was for that. I couldn't respond to that question.
We do have work that's going to be taking place in the near future with, I have coordinated with Steve to do some valve body work, and there's other work to do on Pine Ridge. So we will repair that and pave that at the same time and get it patched up.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Constable has his hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, just a question. I was up at the landfill the other day dropping off some garbage, and how are the guys doing with all the overtime and that they're doing? They, I don't know, kind of got the feeling that they're getting burnt out, like just had that luck to them just from running tow trucks. You could kind of recognize that from the past.
Me to you, or Mr. Hunt, whoever wants to answer. Mr. Thompson?
As for the wrap, at this time, wrap is finished. But if Tim wanted to elaborate on the initial job.
Mr. Hunt?
Yeah, our contract with Fowler is complete now. So that's the end of the wrap, and that'll be the end of the overtime for that particular project. So until we can get another contract, that'll be the end of it. So they should settle down now. the public works employees back to public works, and the landfill operators doing landfill stuff only now. So it's calmed right down now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, they just looked really wiped out. So it's so okay. No, that's great.
Thank you. Any other matters for Public Works? Environment, Waste Management, no report. Item 12.2, report of the Environmental Services Supervisor, Mr. Bowman.
Yes, thank you. I'll just read from the report. In the department, we're continuing to operate effectively well under the COVID physical distancing measures, and all those measures are in place. Our staffing hours we're on the regular schedule. We've made keeping our essential services running a priority. We've been able to maintain regulatory compliance within the department. We're very happy about that. And these strategies are being reviewed weekly at the emergency control and management Zoom meetings. Over at the landfill leachate side, we're down. Seasonal flows have dropped right off, and drier conditions in our effluent quality is improving as such, and everything's within the compliance point. There's no operational issues really to report. We had a small issue with a mixer that was repaired as we had a spare on hand this week since the report was written. In Nobel, the system's functioning well, and I think Brian appreciate the feedback there about the hydrants operating well for the fire conditioning. So that's proof again the system is operating as designed. We had a spring flush completed just prior to this in May, and that helps keep the water supply fresh. And we've had no issues regulatory-wise. We have a storage container that was delivered ahead of schedule, and we're going to be painting it to match the surrounding buildings shortly. And over in Crawford Septic, the seasonal flows are much lower than normal. That may be partially due to the drier conditions, or it could be that people are taking our suggestions to heart. But we plan on doing a follow-up inspections in the weeks to come. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Mr. Goldman on his report? No, seeing none. Any matters arising under environment? No. Okay, thank you. Finance, accounts payable. Moved by Councillor Malat, second by Councillor Constable, that the attached list of accounts payable for June 2nd, 2020, in the amount of $119,502.58, and payroll for June 3rd, 2020, in the amount of $47,788.14 be approved for payment. Discussion? I'll call the question. All's in favor? Carried. Item 13.2, report of the treasurer, asset management grant. Mrs. Robinson.
Thank you. So again, I'm here to talk to you guys about asset management because it seems to be ramping up for the new requirements in 2021. The background laid out in the report is basically the timeline of what we have to do as a municipality to comply with the legislation. I've spoken to a few of my counterparts, different treasurers in the area, the consultants we use to go through our current plan, as well as our auditors at KPMG, to kind of get a sense on how to best position a small municipality to have the capability to update our own plan. It's very expensive to have to use consultants all the time to update the plan whenever there are new requirements that the government is going to impose on us. One of the things that has come to light is that right now we have our asset management plan and our data stored in different locations. So we have some of it within the GIS. We have some of it, the bulk of the data and the database really is in spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets. And also we now have some consultant reports, and we'll be building on that when we have our road needs study completed. So recently there was a grant that was put forward from the Municipal Asset Management Program, the MAMP, announced by the federal government. So this is why I'm bringing this report forward, because I would like us to apply for this grant in order to allow us to purchase some asset management software. So what this software would do, it would take all of our assets and combine it into one asset register using a software program differentiated by department and so on. It would also allow us to do work order management, be able to track different items that might need specific, say there's a road that you need to be reminded in the spring to look at to see how it thaws in a certain place, whether or not that needs further work done. It also allows us to track some minimum maintenance standards items and do some forecasting and optimization. One of the big things it will allow us to do is the financial reporting, as well as the risk management component that is going to be a requirement in the update coming up for asset management in 2021. So this grant is federally funded. It's available to municipalities. A municipality of our size, the grant will allow for 80% of eligible costs if we are successful in receiving the funding. I have a proposal from Public Sector Digest attached to this report, a 20-page proposal. I'm not going to go over that. Really, I hope you've had a time to take a look at that and what it would allow us to do. So given the amount that the software would cost, and with the eligible funding source, if we're approved, our requirement for the project would be roughly $11,000. We currently have $9,000 in our 2020 budget for asset management, and that is funded through reserve that was set aside in 2019, I believe. So we would only be looking for an extra $2,000, which would be, we'd be able to obtain that from the IT consultation budget and under our IT operations budget. So part of the requirement to have this grant approved is that council pass a resolution basically to commit to the fact that we are committing that funding in our budget this year. And other than that, if anybody has any questions in regards to the software or any of the proposal from the consultant, I can hopefully answer some of them.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Comments? Councillor Gregory? You have to unmute. Can't hear.
Okay, there I am. Okay, just a little question, Your Worship. If you have the program and you input into it every time there's a change in anything that's involved in assets, will it keep a running total so that you won't have to spend extra time every 2 years, 3 years updating it?
Through me to you, Mrs. Robinson.
Thank you. It will. So what it will do is it will update all of the financial data. Typically an asset management plan, all of the back-end data isn't necessarily included in the plan that we would say submit for funding. So the only requirement would be for me to say, use the new financial models or perhaps graphs and whatnot that are included in our plan and put them into a plan, our asset management plan that we actually submit for funding. So it would do all of the back end work that is required, which is typically, that's what takes most of the time. Mm-hmm. Your plan's only as good as long as you have accurate and reliable data in it.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Just had one on the GIS layers that are in there. Do we draw on the West Prairie Sound Geography Network for that to populate those fields on it?
Yes, we do. So that the consultant has already spoken to Chris Mahan at WPSGN and organized so that they're aware of the data that we currently have in the Esri database, and everything that is changed in WPSGN would then link. So we have the ability to basically update it as often as we want.
That's good. So the two systems will be in balance then.
Yes.
Any other questions? I'll put the resolution on the table then. Moved by Councillor Malat, second by Councillor Ryman. Be it resolved that the Council for the Municipality of McDougall directs staff to apply for a grant opportunity from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Municipal Asset Management Program for asset management program enhancements in McDougall. Be it therefore resolved that the Municipality of McDougall commits to conducting the following activities in its proposed project submitted to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Municipal Asset Management Program to advance our asset management program. Citywide Asset Manager and GIS Viewer License, Citywide Asset Manager Implementation and Data Work, Asset Management Systems Training. Be it further resolved that the Municipality of McDougall commits $11,050 from its budget towards the cost of this initiative. Any final comments or discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Matters arising under finance. Mrs. Robinson.
I just have two quick items. Recently, the federal government announced that they are going to give out the federal gas tax funding early this year. So typically we would receive it in 2 installments, one in July and one in November. We will receive our full allotment in June this year. I believe that's just to help with any cash flow issues that municipalities are facing. I also wanted to advise council that at the next meeting, I hope to bring forward a financial update to indicate if we are in any position of cash flow shortages, as well as to discuss the tax arrears, if there are any trends noticed from our last May installment, and to bring forward updated landfill revenue and building department revenue figures.
Okay, thank you. Have you noticed any trend at all yet in terms of an impact from COVID-19 in terms of tax collection? No.
Not yet, but I was waiting till the end of the month to kind of go over that more.
Yeah, okay. All right. I mean, it's, some municipalities are hit hard because they have other sources of revenue that they depend on outside of their tax base. You look at Innisfil, who gets, I think, $500,000 a year for casino revenues, which are gone, which when they set their budget, they wouldn't have been anticipating that. And I know other municipalities generate revenue from theaters and that sort of thing. So it's, in good times, those are nice things to have. In bad times, then they start to draw down on your municipality or make you change your plan. So we're not in that situation, so that's good. Thank you. Administration, matters arising. Mrs. West.
Just wanted to bring council up to date on the proposed closure for Spidinsky Lane. I have been discussing with our lawyer on a legal description to use now that we have comments back from MTO. They're not in favor of us closing the portion, so Spidinsky Lane will remain open from basically north of our storage building up to Pine Ridge, and it would be closed just for municipal purposes south of that. So that will be coming up for advertising very shortly. Just wanted to give council a heads up in case you receive any questions about it.
Okay, and just as a reminder to council, I think it will still be open for pedestrian traffic to go back and forth. So it's just, it's the safety factor of having vehicles coming this close to the building and blind corners and people coming down through there that make it very dangerous. So that's why we're taking that. It's unfortunate the MTO wouldn't do it at the same time as what we are, but anyway, that's the MTO. On that issue, which I know is a separate department within the MTO, real estate department, I believe. Yep. Okay. Any other matters arising in administration? Okay. Zoom back out. Request for support, City of Cambridge, provincial funding for rehab facilities. Get City of Kitchener, universal basic income. City of Brantford, Essential Workers Day, March 17th. Matters arising under request for support. It's under motions. Item 16, motions of which notice has been previously given. Resolution moved by Councillor Ryman, second by Councillor Constable. Whereas Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of McDougall received correspondence dated May 14, 2020 from FONOM regarding issues discussed at the May 13, 2020 virtual meeting, and whereas the correspondence brought attention to AMO's discussion paper, New Ontario Provincial Police Detachment Boards Building a Framework for Better Policing Governance, and whereas AMO's discussion paper proposes that Northern Ontario District Social Services Boards replace the current OPP detachment boards, and whereas the FONOM board has identified several issues with DSAB boards replacing the current detachment boards and recognizes the community policing distinctive to each municipality. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of McDougall is in agreement with the opinion of FONOM that the current DSABs would not be the best solution for overseeing the Northern OPP detachments. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to FONOM and its member municipalities, AMO, the Honorable Sylvia Jones, Solicitor General, and Norm Miller, MPP for Parry Sound, Muskoka. Discussion. Councillor Ryman.
Video.
Great. Thank you, Worship. It disappeared.
Yep, you shut your video off.
There we go. Sorry. I did, as a result of the last meeting, I did send out a bit of a questionnaire to some of the, well, all the members, but I obviously I didn't get a huge feedback. I got a response from 3 individuals that sit on the advisory committee for the OPP, and they would be, and I was glad to see the resolution out. All 3 basically wrote back and noted that they don't think that it's a good idea for the OPP, of course, being under the mandate of DSAB due to, several reasons, because the OPP cover many things outside the mandate of DSAB. And basically it's unclear how DSAB would play a more effective role. And right now, and other comments were the present advisory committee seems to be working well. And this basically, from what we gather, is one of the few advisory committees in the West Parry Sound that meet on a regular basis. So basically, and unfortunately, I did send out an email to all of the members, but unfortunately, that's what I got back. But it does sound like they don't, from the feedback I got, they don't really think it would be a wise idea for the new board for the OPB be under the control of DSAB. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Committee reports. 17.1, Township of McKellar have sent their resolution. As you're aware, we share a representative amongst 4 municipalities on the EMS Land Ambulance Committee. Councillor Dixon was our representative on that. Councillor Malat generously offered to take Councillor Dixon's spot on that. We've supported that. Municipality of Whitestone supported that. Township of McKellar is not supporting that. They want their own representative, and we have yet to hear from Carning Township on it. So at this point, I guess it's just a wait and see situation, which it normally is with this particular committee appointment. Any questions or comments on that? Any matters arising under committee reports? Councillor Gregory?
Yes, Your Worship, just to let you know, Belvedere is still case-free of COVID. They're still shut down, and the publicity worked really well. And we actually had good comments in the newspaper from Sarah. So it worked out just fine. So that's it.
Okay, thank you for that. And it was good to see that publicity that Belvedere was able to obtain from that. And it's good to see that staff are going above and beyond there to try to make the lives of the residents a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
A tough situation. So it's good. Okay. Any other committee reports? Report of the CAO. Mr. Hunt.
Thank you, Worship. I think all of councils had a chance to read the report I prepared from there. What the report does is basically explain how we want to open up or get back to normal business here. There's some proposed dates that I've set out there. I have, before I put these dates in writing, I met with all the staff. We all agree that these are reasonable and everybody is comfortable and safe with the proposal. So we can go through them quickly. I want to return the office to full-time staff hours, June 15th. And I think we're in very good shape to open the office to the public on July the 7th, which is the Tuesday after the long weekend. We are set up to deal with the public as they come in at the front counter. And we'll also be set up to deal with any appointments that the staff need to have with outside agencies or contractors or salespeople or whoever we need to deal with. You can see the conditions for the office there. They're pretty clear. Everybody is comfortable with all these as well. I don't think there's anything that we've missed. As with anything we do right now with COVID, if the province sets out any other rules that are above this, we'll absolutely accommodate that as well. But I think the plan we have is acceptable to staff, and I think we need to get back to work here. As you can see, the conditions for all the offices are here. The public works are there. The public works are back to normal hours that have been for a while. Water, wastewater crew is the same. They've been back to normal hours for a while. The landfill, of course, they've been going above and beyond normal hours. They've been running 24 hours a day and doing very well out there with all the requirements. The Park and Recreation, Mr. Leduc has laid out a very good plan for that as well, just as he has for the fire department and for the municipal law enforcement. So I think we've got a good plan. We've discussed it with all involved, and I think given the cases and what's going on in the Parry Sound District, I think we're ready. So if council has no objections, we'll put this plan in place. The one thing that I will mention, we are asking to change the office hours back to 8 to 4. It was a mistake taking it to 8:30. We have more calls from 8 to 8:30 than we do from 4 to 4:30 by far. So that's the only change to the public would be the hours of operation, 8 to 4 versus 8:30 to 4:30. Very minor. That's the only real change to the public. After July the 7th, we'll be pretty much business as usual as far as the public is concerned. To that matter, we've accommodated the public for every request they've had to date as well. But things do get behind, and we need to get back to full-time work.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Mr. Hunt on that report? No? Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry. I missed a little blue hand sometimes. Councillor Constable?
Sorry. This is a little bit unrelated, but now that we're starting to look at things moving forward, with the building for the landfill, are we going to be putting that out, request for proposal for that soon, or are we ready to do that yet?
Yeah. I have, what I hope is the last meeting, Friday at 10 o'clock with the engineer, and the contract should be ready to be released. We just put the last couple touches on it there. We were holding it because of COVID. We didn't know if there were going to be any contracts out. So to be honest, I kind of put it on the back burner for a bit. So the engineer is just touching it up today and tomorrow, and we'll meet on Friday to finish it. So it'll be ready to go.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured is, well, with everything going on, it wasn't, but yeah, I was just curious. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ryman.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to pass on a kudos to staff during, you know, the COVID situation. I know it's still going on, and you know we don't know where it's going, but I know it's been a rather difficult time thus far in doing what they're doing in the office and keeping the office going, keeping the ratepayers satisfied. I think everybody has done a great job. So I just want to pass on my congratulations to all of staff, and keep up the great work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure through the clerk and the CAO, they can pass that along to the staff. Absolutely. All right, move on to general items and new business. None. Okay. Bylaws. Moved by Councillor Malat, second by Councillor Ryman, that bylaw 2020-32 being a bylaw to declare to be surplus. Do you want the public notice part first, though? Okay. Be advised that council will now consider short road allowance application 2019-3 for Nickel 9 Mile Lake under bylaw 2020-32. Have we received any written correspondence on this matter?
Notice of the proposed bylaw was given in accordance with the prescribed municipal bylaw, and no written correspondence has been received.
Okay, thank you. Now I'll move to the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Malat, second by Councillor Ryman, that bylaw 2020-32 being a bylaw to declare to be surplus, stop up and close and sell part of the original shore road allowance laid out along the shore of 9 Mile Lake, being part of broken lot 22 concession 12 shown as road allowance on plan attached to LP 7383 CT 45 and part of the original shore road allowance in front of broken lot 22 and concession 12 in the geographic township of McDougall, now in the municipality of McDougall, in the district of Parry Sound, designated as part 2 on 42R-21349 for nickel, be introduced and read a first and second time. Discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? It's carried. Pleasure of council, give this third and final reading. Moved by Councillor Constable, second by Councillor Gregory, that bylaw 2020-32 be read a third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Final discussion. All those in favor? It's carried. Bylaw 2020-33. Moved by Councillor Gregory, second by Councillor Constable, that bylaw 2020-33 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2017-08, a bylaw to establish the hiring of personnel and to regulate certain personnel matters, and to repeal bylaw 2017-22, be introduced and read the first and second time. Maybe just quick explanation from staff for this bylaw. Mrs. West.
This just follows Mr. Hunt's CAO report. It's a simple bylaw to amend the hours for the municipal office. So the original bylaw was from 8 to 4:30, changed to 8:30 to 4:30, being bylaw 2017-22 that we're repealing. So we're keeping the original parent bylaw and repealing the amending bylaw and amending it again with 8 to 4 for the hours.
Okay. Questions, comments? Everyone get that? Call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Pleasure of council to give this third and final. Moved by Councillor Ryman, second by Councillor Malat, that bylaw 2020-33 be read a third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Final discussion. All those in favor? It's carried.
I may note as well that that would be effective June 8th, so Monday.
Okay. Thank you. Tracking sheet, no items for the tracking sheet. Closed session, no items for closed session, therefore no ratification of matters from closed session. Confirmation bylaw, moved by Councillor Malat, second by Councillor Ryman. That bylaw 2020-34 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the committee council meeting held on June 3rd, 2020, be introduced and read a first and second time. Discussion, all those in favor? It's carried. Moved by Councillor Constable, second by Councillor Gregory, that bylaw 2020-34 be read a third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Final discussion. All those in favor? It's carried. Nothing else tonight, then we will our adjournment resolution, moved by Councillor Ryman, second by Councillor Malat, that we do now adjourn at 7:48 p.m. All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.